Let's do a few problems. And in this session, I will mention something that I had overlooked unforgivably, actually. Right now, when you do your exercises in my math lab, they give you facilities where you can use factorial and combinations and permutations. But on your final exam, you're going to have to use the TI whatever calculator, and you're going to have to know how to find factorials and permutations and combinations on that calculator. So let's compute a few of these, and I'll also talk about how we do these things using a calculator. Here we want the number of combinations of a set of 2 elements selected from 7 elements. And in terms of factorials, this is 7 factorial over 7 minus 2 factorial times 2 factorial. Holy moly! 7 factorial, let me write down what I got for this. Now let's see. When I crunched all of this, I got 21. But let's talk about how we do this on our TI whatever calculator that we're going to be using in the final exam. We should probably practice some of this right now and not wait until a couple of days before the final exam to learn how to do this. So in order to do something like this, we type 7. And then we'd hit this key, the probability key on the calculator. And here's what we're going to see. We're going to see NPR, NCR, and we're going to see factorial. And when we first hit the PRB button, NPR is going to be underlined. Well, we don't want NPR, we want NCR. So what we do is we hit the right arrow button on our calculator. And what that will do, it will move the underline from here to here. And what we'll see is NPR, NCR, underlined, and factorial. We'll hit enter. And then we'll type the other number 2. So the first thing we do, type the 7. Then hit the probability key. That will take us to a screen where it lets us select one of these 3. With the right arrow button, we'll move the underline to underline NCR. We'll hit enter. And on the screen, what we should see at this point is 7 NCR, and we type in 2. And hit I fit all of that in? By golly, I sure did. So when we use our TI calculator for the final, this is how we'll do it. And we'll get 21. If you have your calculator, you may want to try doing that right now, just to get comfortable with it. We don't want to wait until the night before the final exam before we take out our calculator and say, oh my God, how do I compute combinations and permutations? Uh, 12 factorial. When we do the exercise in MyMathLab, they'll have a factorial symbol down at the bottom of the screen that you can use. Suppose we wanted to do this on a calculator, particularly the calculator that we're going to use for the final exam. We'll type 12. And then we'll hit the probability key. And this is what we're going to see. We're going to see NCR, and it's going to be underlined. We're going to see NCR, and we're going to see factorial. Is that showing up? I guess it is. And what we do is we hit the right arrow key twice. And that's going to move the underline from here to here to here. And what we will see is NCR, the first symbol is NPR, forgive me please. NCR and factorial. When we first hit the probability key, we'll see NPR underlined. We'll also see NCR and the factorial symbol. We hit the enter key, the right arrow key twice. That moves the underline from here to here to here. So the factorial will be underlined, and that's exactly what we want. And so we'll hit the enter key. And we'll get whatever 12 factorial is supposed to be. Maybe I should check out what it is and get back to you. Okay, if we did this correctly, 12 factorial, we got 479,001,600. Let's try another example with factorial using our TI calculator, the one we're going to use for the final. 9 factorial using our TI calculator. We'll type 9. We'll hit the probability key. And NPR will be underlined, but we want factorial. So we'll hit the right arrow twice. And that will move the underscore from NPR to NCR to factorial. We have factorial underlined, and that's what we want, so we'll hit enter. And we should get 9 factorial, which is 362,808. Now let's do some more combinations and permutations. Compute 7C2, the number of ways that 2 combinations can be selected from a set of 7 elements. And here's what we do. Type 2, probability key, PRB, and we're going to see NPR underline, NCR, and we're going to see the factorial. We want factorial, so we'll hit the right arrow key twice to move the underscore from NPR to NCR to factorial. And so this is what we should see now. NPR, NCR, and factorial with an underscore. Oh, that showed up pretty well, didn't it? Okay. We have the factorial underlined. Holy moly, we don't want factorial, do we? We want combinations. Okay. And 2 is not the first number either, is it? Okay. Let me do this again, because I have really mucked this one up. We want 7C2, so I should enter 7, hit the probability key, and when I do, the NPR key will be underlined. But I don't want a permutation, I want a combination. So I'll hit the enter key once to move the underscore to the NCR key. And when I do that, we'll still get this pretty blue color. But this time, the NCR key will be underscored. The thing that we want has the underscore, and so we'll hit enter. And now is the time to enter or type 2. And after we type 2, we'll hit enter. And 7 choose 2, son of a gun. We should get 21 as an answer. One more example, but let's do the permutation this time. Compute the number of permutations of 2 elements. Is that what I want? I don't think so. Let's do something a little bit more challenging. The number of permutations of 3 elements selected from a set of 10 elements. And if we're doing this in factorials, we're going to have 10 factorial over 10 minus 3 factorial. And when we hit enter, we're going to get 720. But suppose we use the NPR function in our calculators. We want 10P3, we type the first number, 10. We hit the probability key, and on the screen we see NPR, NCR, factorial. This time we want the permutation, NPR. So we just hit enter. And all we have to do after that is type the next number. And we hit enter again. And when we do, we get our answer, 720. Practice doing some of these exercises using the calculator so that when we take the final exam, we'll be very comfortable using the TI calculator. We don't have to spend hours and hours doing this, but get comfortable doing it now so that when we take the final exam in about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we'll be comfortable using the calculator. And it's not something that we'll have to struggle to learn the night before we take the final exam. Matt has 12 shirts.